Tony East here for SI on the court here in Little Caesars Arena, where the Pacers just started their season with a win, even though I don't think they will say that they played particularly well. They beat the Pistons 115-109. That's what everyone will remember. Their fourth quarter defense was sensational, at least much better than it was the rest of the game, if not a little bit lucky in that frame, but they were had some choppy moments the rest of the way. The Pistons actually outscored the Pacers in every other quarter. The third quarter was a small Pacers victory before that win. So the Pistons really were controlling this game for much of it. Cade Cunningham was terrific in the second half. Tim Hardaway Jr. kept getting going. Tobias Harris had a nice game inside the arc. Right, a lot of things were rolling for this Pistons team, who looked much better. And their defense was awesome against the Pacers. Pacers could not get to their offensive rhythm that they had for much of last season. Their starting five had moments again where they looked a little clunky, which was their calling card last year. But they got it done late, and we'll get to the end later. But I think the Pacers will, again, walk away with this not super thrilled with some of their play. You know, early in this game, they couldn't get the shots they typically like. Andrew Nembhard could get to his little falling away shot in the mid-range. That's how they were scoring early. And Pascal Siakam was kind of going, but kind of not. You know, they just didn't have a consistent threat, I would say, in the first half. Some guys sprinkled in shots here and there, and they never felt like they were out of the game, certainly. The Pacers were in it enough to obviously get a win and stay close the whole time, adjust their strategy. But the Pistons felt like they were in control for much of this game, largely because the Pacers could not get going offensively. So if you can't get going offensively, get it going defensively, and that's what the Pacers did in this fourth quarter. They survived an onslaught from Cade Cunningham in the third quarter. Cade Cunningham was sensational. I'm going to predict right now that he's going to be an all-star this season for the first time of his career. But once they had slowed him just a little bit and were hitting the glass a lot harder, the Pacers were able to get it done. Really, the fourth quarter storylines would be the defense to me. Again, just 19 points for the Detroit Pistons, but so much more than that we need to dive into. On the way to that 19 points from the field, some of this forced by the Pacers, some of this just, an off night. The Pistons were 5 for 20. They made one of their 8 threes, and they had 2 turnovers. That is not a successful quarter, and the Pacers did well on the defensive glass with 11 defensive rebounds in that frame, and that was really huge because the Pacers also weren't shooting very well from 3 in the fourth, 2 for 7, but they only missed 2 two-pointers that whole frame. When they were really pushing and getting inside the arc, they were very successful. TJ McConnell started off the fourth quarter with some brilliancy. He was 4 for 4 just in the fourth quarter, and Ben Mathurin finished the fourth quarter, and he was just at his absolute best in that final frame. 14 points for Ben Mathurin in the fourth quarter. Completely saved the day for the Pacers by being probably their best offensive player in the second half of this game. We'll talk about Myles Turner in a minute. Definitely their best offensive player in the fourth quarter of this game. 7 for 9 from the foul line in the fourth quarter for Ben Mathurin. Also 2 rebounds and an assist, plus 14 with him on the floor, obviously, because they won the quarter by 14, and he played the entire thing. So absolutely massive how big those 2 bench guards were. And some starters came in and did important stuff. Andrew Nembhard came in and defended Cade very well. Myles Turner came in and got 3 boards, 1/3 of his total for the whole game. Pascal Siakam hit a nice dunk in transition and 3 assists in that quarter. And Tyrese Haliburton, off night in many ways. Couldn't get rolling, didn't look quite like himself, wasn't getting open from 3. Finally, in the final minute, gets some space late in the shot clock and drills a 3, his first made 3 of the game. He does a little dance, and they get the win on that dagger. He needed that one. He jokingly said after the game, just talked to him in the locker room, that he's blaming Steph Curry for his poor shooting night. Tyrese Haliburton is. He finishes the outing 6 for 18, although a lot of that was inside the arc struggling. He was 5 for 9 on 2s. He had 15 points and 4 assists, but he had 3 steals and 2 blocks. He had some better defensive moments than offensive moments, but he said he's blaming Steph Curry because Steph Curry told him this summer, hey, he should take pregame naps. That's a big part of Steph's game day routine. Tyrese took a pregame nap. He hated it. He's never doing it again, he joked after this game. Another key stretch that helped the Pacers get across the finish line in this one, Myles Turner early in the third quarter was sublime. In the first half, he had some okay moments, but a little flimsy. Jalen Duren was giving him a ton of trouble. And in the third, Myles Turner had 16 of his 20 points just in that quarter. He made 3 threes. He made 3 twos. He hit a free throw, 3 rebounds as well. So 6 of his 9 came in that second half, and an assist as well. It was really the threes, though, because Duren was giving him trouble inside the paint. Their physicality battle was favoring Duren, who's taller and a little stronger than Turner, but Turner's a much better shooter, and Duren in space isn't as effective as a defender. He can't move around as well. He can't be as consistent consistent in that way. So once Turner got going and figured out the pick-and-pop game was working for him, and the Pacers were able to hit him, 6 assists for Andrew Nembhard just in the third quarter. Primarily, a lot of that was because Myles Turner was able to get rolling in that way. That really changed the game for Turner. So the second half stretch, you could say that lots of guys were the key drivers of the Pacers' success. That wasn't on the defensive end, but I think Turner's early third and Mathurin's fourth quarter were the real big offensive winners for the Pacers in this game. In general, some stuff the Pacers will be happy with. Their starters looked at least a little better as a unit, right? That was a complaint in the preseason they had even internally. They didn't play awesome. All of them connected the whole game, but they won Tyrese Haliburton's minutes by 15. They won Myles Turner's minutes by 20. They won Pascal Siakam's minutes by 15. They'll be happy with that. Those are their 3 best players, and a lot of the Pacers' best moments in this game, or most offensive successes, came when those 3 players were just on the same side of the floor, regardless of how connected their action truly was. If the defense had to pay attention to all 3 of those guys, the Pacers were able to get something going and look a little threatening. I think they'll be happy with the way that those guys in particular played, especially because the Pacers are doing a little adapting into how much of the ball appears to be, going to which of their ball-dominant players and when. Haliburton a little more off-ball in this game again, continuing a trend from last season, and he had 4 assists. That was tied for the third most on the team. 9 for Siakam, who had the ball a bunch and did so in the preseason as well. 7 for Andrew Nembhard, who, similar to Siakam, had it a bunch in the preseason. And then 4 for Haliburton and Turner and McConnell. That's going to be interesting to track as the season goes on. But that balance did end up working out for them, even though it did, again, look a little clunky at times. But I thought that was noteworthy because that's a continuation of their preseason, even though their starting 5 in general appeared to get over some big issues that they had. Rotationally, other stuff that matters. Jarris Walker, first half was the backup 3. Ben Shepherd, second half was the backup 3. They were both totally fine. I don't think either of them were great or awful in any way, and they'll take that. Other noteworthy things on the not fun side, James Wiseman getting his first minutes ever for the Pacers, getting thrown out there in the first quarter. Isaiah Jackson was out with his groin injury. They need James Wiseman. He comes in and scored 6 points and looked really nice offensively. 2 for 4. He hit 2 free throws in this game. But then tragedy for him. He shot a 3, turned around, tried to get back on defense, could not run, could not really move. Unfortunately, I thought he was playing a pretty good defensive game as well. He had a nice shutdown possession on Tobias Harris, but was reaching for his left calf, left ankle area. Some speculation from the road team broadcast, and it's an Achilles injury. I will not be doing any speculating right here because I don't know. We did hear it's a lower left leg. Rick Carlisle said Wiseman's going to the team, to New York while he was there is where he will get that MRI. So huge bummer for a new Pacers center that they needed in this game. He scored 6 points in a 6-point win. I actually thought he played all right despite not thinking he was particularly good in the preseason. Without him and without Jackson, they needed someone to be the third center. Sometimes they went small with Obi Toppin. Most of the time, even just for short spurts, because Turner ended up playing 36 minutes, they turned to Enrique Freeman, rookie 50th pick on a 2-way contract. Enrique held up just fine. He was a little undersized going against Duren and Isaiah Stewart, but Freeman gets his first 2 pro points at the foul line and has a turnover for his only stats, but filled in okay, was moving around, had some nice defensive reps, including a good possession himself, switching on the defensive end. So really, McConnell was huge, Mathurin was huge. They got good stuff from their deep reserve 3s, and Enrique Freeman stepped up. Their starters did better stuff. I think outside of foul trouble from Aaron Nesmith and overall offensive clunkiness, the Pacers can say for at least pockets of the game, everybody gave them something that they'll want and something they'll be happy with. They got the Knicks on Friday, a much tougher test. Hopefully the Pacers, they'll say, can keep some of that stuff they had going in the fourth quarter into the Garden against a formidable foe, and we'll of course have coverage of that game right here. Thanks for watching. See you soon.